Okay, folks. We're just gonna assume things are hunky-dory. Yeah, I know, on top of everything else, my webcam ain't working. It's just an orange box. So, you get my pixel face today. Alright, so, let us review all the fun we've already had. I need to mute that. Oh, shoot. Yep, I forgot. Jen? Sorry about that.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
No, I was like, you probably have much more like things going on, so I didn't want you to.
no, just random questions. Like, I didn't stream it all yesterday because of stuff. But yep.
Oh yeah. Well, I just uploaded a photo on our website, and I just wanted to make sure I did it correctly.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
so whenever you
oh, so where did you upload it?
yeah. So if you go to our homepage and go under the programs tab,
Okay.
and then go under the soup with substance tab.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure that looks right to you. Like it's just like a.
Yep, that's great. We really should hide these pages though until they're done, but I think we're kind of past that. But yeah, that works great. Let me double check the alt text.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, and when you say hide them, you mean like I shouldn't publish them or whatever?
no, you can publish, but we probably shouldn't have it linked until we have all this stuff ready. But
Oh,
yeah,
sure. Okay.
yeah, great. You did the alt text perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure. And then I guess when you go to that page, let me just pull it up.
Mhm.
So at the top, like obviously it still lists it as like table talk list.
Oh, yeah. So you can edit that as well.
I
It
can.
gets missed a lot, but here, let me share my screen.
Okay.
No, that one. All right. So if I go and replace this, and it's so easy to miss this gear. So it's gonna be up here
Oh, okay.
in the
Yep.
top left, and then we just do
Ah,
soup with substance. So of course, the only other thing about this is that the URL says Table Talks. We can change that, but it does tend to cause a lot of broken links, and it takes Google a while to like refigure out what that is.
no worries. No worries.
So yeah, yep, cool.
Okay, so that's helpful because then I can work on a few of the other pages in the same way. I just didn't want to go too far if it was like wrong.
Nope, yeah, you did it great, and that's exactly what you should do with pictures
I
with
don't even
text.
know who this person is anymore. I'm like just really enjoying websites. So
Good, good,
it actually is kind of fun. I honestly, this has forced me to obviously learn, so it's good.
nice, cool. Well, yeah, let me
Um,
know if you run into any other issues.
cool. I think that's the only thing that I had. So I just was like, just didn't want to go too far. But
Hmm.
thank you so much for your help. You're awesome.
Yeah, of course, happy to help
Okay,
out.
cool. Hope
Hmm.
you're doing okay this week, and
Yep,
talk to you soon.
yep. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Right. Oh, what are you? There we go. Zoom. I keep forgetting that I've got a Zoom meeting with that. Alrighty. So we got this. Okie dokie. Discard. Sorry. You get to watch me working live. I guess you don't. You just get to see my icon. You get to hear me working live at the very least. Um, all right. Okay, so our pages that we've got our example homepage, we've got a staff page. Well, let's go one point at a time. All right, example homepage here. Remember, whenever we created this page, we made sure it's a tier 2. Because we go to next, right, next. Tier 2 page, right? Then at the top, we have a hero image, and the hero image needs a specific sized image, which we've added. It's not showing all these. So this also happens. This might be a good example of how things can go wrong. If you click this and go to edit data, it won't always actually give you what's in there. You're like, oh, I want to edit this text. If it's all blank and there is stuff there, don't just start changing. Try changing your view, work on this page, all changes, stuff like that maybe. And then give it another try. And if that doesn't work, we'll just do a refresh. So hey, now it works. So we have our banner, our mighty flag. We've got our header up here. We've got some message. We're saying we want it there. You can align it elsewhere. We'll see how that looks. Our CTA, call to action, and then the destination of that, which is just going to be the Campus Life homepage. So we'll hit save. Yeah, I kind of moved it up a bit. Up to you. Over here, we have a grid layout container, the default container for everything, because we don't want our text going longer than 80 characters. We have a basic text block. Over here, we have a flex grid container that then holds our flex promo element. Down below, we have a larger flex grid. And again, that's outside of this grid layout container, because the grid layout's mostly for like our regular text blocks. This flex grid container is going to be for flex elements. In here we have 3 flex promos with images. Each one is going to take us to a new page. 2 of these pages already existing. Our example staff page. Real quick. Let's review with the flex promo. It does also require a very specifically sized image. We'll be going over software and web tools for resizing your images, but just know that you have the tools by default on your computer. It might not be pretty tools. So we can resize the photo. Oh, hey, kitty cat. And then we can also have some content here. It's not very long, but we like to use these elements to direct people to existing pages, help filter them, and get them where they need to go. We have our call to action, CTA, and the destination. So our example staff page is using not text blocks, but a profile element. Whenever you want to upload somebody, you don't directly input their information. You simply select them from a list of records to add. This record is maintained by HR. You as an employee have multiple ways to edit this yourself, but we can't just edit the text directly on the web page. So if somebody says, hey, can you update my profile for me? Say no, but you can. Whenever we want to add more people, we hit search more records, subset, and we can search by first name, last name, email address. And remember to use these logic. You can only, if you want to just type in part of somebody's name, you can use contains, and that's a much bigger catch-all. Don't forget too, we can change our layout for the staff element. So we can show alphabetize all the staff. We can show their bios. We can do 1 column, 2 column. The sky is the limit. So we actually delete this element. This is also a good chance to show, hey, we can move elements in 2 ways and we can delete them. So we can move them under this more. Let's move up, down, top, bottom. You can also click, and you have to click and hold, and then you can click and drag. And you see that green bar? So if I want to move it above, I'll simply release my mouse whenever I see the green bar. Let the page load, and remember, be nice to your web page. Let it load, let it crash, and then try to refresh. If you don't get an error screen, don't hit refresh. And an important lesson, this happens sometimes. Sometimes we get this. Now, you can do this. I'm going to go ahead and say you can. You can work on other pages while this one's thinking. so it might sometimes pay to have multiple pages open. Looking at our FAQ, we create this through three primary means. We create, two primary means. We create a text block where we can jump down to our spot and we can jump up and down. That requires some coding, but it's not difficult code and it's pretty cool, if I do say so myself. So we can also do these collapsibles. These are pretty cool because you get to, it's bigger text. You can kind of list a lot of the questions quick, and you can have pretty chunky elements without having to navigate up and down a page a lot. One trap that we all like to fall into is using all the different colors. Remember, colors need to say something as well. So if you're going to use different colors, please try to use it as a tool. Color should be for structure, not necessarily just aesthetics. And here we're still waiting, and we'll just keep waiting until it crashes. I've found it will process a bit slower if you have if you're active in a different tab. I think at this point we just gotta wait for it to crash, frankly. This is also why I'm sometimes skeptical of using that move, click and drag element. I tend to get crashes more. I haven't actually tried to test this out, so I'm perhaps a bit loath to declare that it's more dangerous. Generally just moving elements, try to put them in the right place the first time would be my advice. It is much simpler that way. Okay, so we've got 3 pages. Good start. But I want a content page, right? We really want to let's get into the meat and potatoes, huh? All right, so let's go and create a new page. Well, we'll just check in periodically. I'll close another tab. Because I am also streaming, and I've got like a different tab with music and about 20 other tabs on my other screen open. I'm sure the poor VPN is kind of screaming under the weight. All right, new page. We're going to be in OCL. That's where we want to be. You can choose like these 2016 redesign, and it'll filter out only those. You can also you got to click something anyway. So tier 3 content. That's what we want. This is a content page. Aha. EX content. Remember, name is going to be the URL. I'm kind of using this naming convention, EX dash, and then the actual page description. Hello, kitty cat. It's a bad day for my phone not to be working as a camera, because you would be a star right now. Yes. I'm actually kind of impressed you didn't hit the keyboard there. Oof. Cat. Alright, so common spot title. This is internal, so remember you can actually be perhaps a bit more verbose about this. Don't say anything you wouldn't want to be potentially public, but it should be hidden. So example, content page. Example, content page. Oftentimes, it can be the exact same thing as what's going to be public. Page title, public, that's what populates the tab. This is an example. Content page for OCL content managers. Because that's you. The true heroes of this story. Alright. Great. Hit save. We don't need to mess with that pop-up at all. I do wonder if I'm recording these zooms. I probably shouldn't be. It's probably a bit overkill. Always more to do. All right, let me get a little bit out of the way. All right. Meow. So we are going to define the tier 3 header. Remember, it's very easy to forget. We actually had an example of that when I was helping out Jen earlier. It's very easy to forget that this exists. And again, we've got our grid layout container. So for this, I want to really just have a lot of text blocks that kind of describe programs, let's say initiatives. We have our first initiative that's going to be learning how to use the web page. I think another easily forgotten initiative. I'm going to stop saying initiative. One other aspect of online management is going to be the documents. We do have a good number of PDFs. I think in this coronavirus time, we're going to have to move to more online forms. There's going to be a lot fewer printed documents and documents being handed in. I think we probably should have moved from that anyways. So we'll add that as kind of like another area. And here's what I want to do. I want to kind of standardize the format. A lot of times we have specific visions for a page, or we use other pages as a jumping off point. That's fine. That's great. But try to think in a kind of modular fashion, right? So like this page I might have drawn it up perfect for this year, but then it's going to change again. We can all see how quickly things can change. So try to think of it as something that you could duplicate, right? Like, okay, if I just need to like make one section and then do it 50 times, that's probably overkill for what we're doing. But what I want to do is let's grab a text block. Maybe I can kind of show you what I mean by this. Most pages should have some introductory, like, hey, this is this page. Here you can find XYZ. Example page. So we will say here is, boy, we're going to have example content page all over this. Content page, introduction. We probably shouldn't do abbreviated words like that. Here is a content page. We will show how to use text blocks, pictures. Ooh. Spelling is also key, and other elements to showcase important web and accessibility information. All right, so this is a good start. Remember, our title, subtitle is always going to be a H1 header. That means that any other headers after that must be H2 or H1. So I'm going to do one more text block. I think what I want to do is have like an image off to the left, and then maybe have some text to the right of it that's talking about like, hey, like this is what we're talking, this is web page accessibility. There's a picture that's just kind of generic, makes it look pretty, but let's just kind of divide up all these sections, right? So I'm going to choose just something that exists, and I'll maybe try to get some specific screenshots later. So let's say, there we go. I think that's what we're going to get. That kind of aspect ratio, because I'm going to be taking screenshots for a lot of this. And so for web page editing, I want to get my kind of rectangular horizontal size. Maybe, here we go. Here's an actual just screenshot. So we'll go with that. Or even better, YouTube size. Great. This is for a faculty webinar, but we'll just add that. And so one thing that we could do, especially if we want to think about structuring our page, right? We have our introduction. We could do an H1 to also be like, hey, this is important. So this would be like web accessibility. And maybe what we'll be doing is dividing this text into further H2s and stuff. So I've got this image. It's going to go full width. I think I want it to be maybe half right. It would be almost like an article, and then we'll kind of divide it up. Web accessibility is not only about providing legal definitions of accessible content, but also meet the spirits of the law to provide equal experience for all users. Let's see how this looks, right? Great. And so one thing that you can't really see yet, but this is going to flow around it. So it's going to go down and over that. We might get a better example if I add some more text, and I'll even swap it to the left just so we can kind of see how this works. All users. Meeting the legal definition is a bare minimum. I'm going to bold this. One thing that we like to do, and especially because we have important information, right? We all have a long catalog of like, it's easy to forget about this. It's easy to forget about that. This is important. This is critical. This is also critically important, right? So people bold, underline, bold and underline, bold and italicize, underline and italicize, and kind of hope that that like will mean something different. and it's a nice thought, but it mostly just creates clutter, right? It's just creating more noise. Try to use just a few words to really highlight and help people key in on. Do not do it for entire paragraphs. Do not make this entire thing bold. There is something. Let me do it with the actual lead and paragraph, but we'll make this slightly bolder so it stands out. Let's finish this sentence though. Meeting the legal definition is a bare minimum, and we strive to provide a truly I hope I'm not using any troubling language here. Truly equitable experience online. If you have questions or concerns, please contact Cole Rampelmeyer. I'll go and put my email here. And remember, we can link to that. Nope. We click the link icon here, little chain with the pencil. Kitty cat. And we put the email, just paste it right there. Rampel Mid-American. Great. Now, one thing that I might want to do is, with that web accessibility, we got a couple key areas, right? I need to kind of further divide this topic down. A common way that we do this, let's say photos and alternative text. Photos for the blind. Text. Necessary with every photo. I want to make it clear, so I can highlight this and go to heading 2. Hey, if I hit enter, you see this goes back to normal. So we will be like lorem ipsum do alt text. Let's just say for now, so we can kind of see how this works. We're gonna have our photo go to the left. Hey, and we see that it wraps around. Okay, and so this is a useful way to kind of like start with an image, right, and then have a standard way. So I might say, hey, I want to always start with like an image, an introduction to my topic, and then we will kind of start to break it down with H2s, right? So alternative text is going to be necessary for web accessibility. I think we need proper color contrast, heading structure, funnily enough, while I'm talking about it. And I think those are really the kind of the big culprits. Alt text headers, and using colors properly. Alternative text. And you know what? We've actually got, I believe we got some great examples of how we can just let's do American. Alternative text. No, that's closed captioning. Here we go. The alt text decision tree. Yep. I'm just going to copy that. Lol, that's still going. This, oh, see, and you come back and it starts to actually like accept stuff. All right. We're just going to leave it, right? We're going to hit the X. Okay. So we can copy and paste. Right? Hey, like that. One thing you got to be careful with, let's see if I can't break this. So I'm going to go to Gmail, or I guess my Google Drive, open up a document and copy from there. I believe what it's going to do, so I'm just going to copy that and let's paste it right over here. Hey, okay. So let me go look in source. Look at this. So we copy and pasted from this page. All right, alternative text is as much an art as a science. And great, it just has the P tag, nice, clean. Looks like the rest of our text. Ignore that like strong and link text there. Now this P here, I copy and pasted from Google. And it has different font, clearly. You can see it's, it looks different than what we got here. And it appears different here. But it's got all this like meta character set. ID Docs, right? It like has an ID for my Google Docs. You can strip that out manually by going in and cleaning it, right? But that's a good amount of work, right? So let's paste that. Oh, let's go back and paste that, right? So we got all of our ugly. That's the ugly code. You can strip that out just by opening up Notepad. If you're on Windows, I believe the regular text edit does the same for Mac, but I'd have to double check to confirm. So just paste it here, and because this is what we call plain text, it strips out all of the extra stuff. So then I'm going to go back, I'm going to delete that, and paste what I copied from Notepad. You'll notice, hey, it looks just like this. And hey, that code is much cleaner. So that's maybe a long way of saying, don't be careful copy pasting. This happens from Word as well. And I know that we like to use Word to format. The system plays a lot nicer with Word these days, but if your text looks slightly funky, hit the source button and take a look. And if you got like extra code right after your P tags, you might want to be careful. Some of this stuff, is self-explanatory. I've got strong here. Okay, that's around the bare minimum, which is bold. In HTML, we use strong. So yeah, so let's go ahead and delete that. So we've got, hey, alternative text is this for in-depth. We'll do a hyphen for an in-depth guide on alternative text. Please view the alt text decision tree. And remember, with our links, we want to be specific. We want to say exactly where they're going. We don't simply want to just say, click here. For the guide on alternative text, click here. Because I'll show you the two ways of doing it, right? So let me go and find this. I don't know if I can link to CP Tools. Perhaps I can. So you see how I'm discovering where this is? CP Tools, that's the first folder it's in. Then it's in a best practices folder. And then this is the name of the page. So I need to actually be, so if we look here, right? So this is our root, that's just american.edu. And each of these folders is what we call a subsite. So the CP Tools subsite has a subsite within it of examples, right? Best practices. Right there, filter. And now we can see all those pages there. Hey, alt text decision tree. Great. Let's insert link. Okay, so this is a good way of doing it. For an in-depth guide, please view, right? This is not good. Because click here doesn't tell me where it's going, right? I'd have to read the rest of the sentence to get it. But if I'm just looking through all the links, it's going through, that doesn't tell me anything about that link. You could, I guess, guide on like that, but that's a long link, which we should really avoid. Really try to make links, 3-4 words at most. And going to save. Oh, I shouldn't have included the bad text. All right, so okay, so we got kind of like a little template here. That's a good start. It's a loud morning with the cats today, everybody. Okay, we're gonna save that. Well, let's add another header. Say headers are for our structure, not. Let's do structure, not declaration. Do another heading too, because we think it's about the same kind of importance essentially, and we don't really have a need. Because again, remember, the headers help us subdivide. It's a good way of, kind of grouping content. Headers must descend by only one value. Headers are used as guides. Guides to move through a page. Move through a page. Must only dissemble one value. They can ascend by any value, by any amount. So, example. Let's get weird. Let's add a table. We haven't added a table yet, and I don't like tables because they tend to be more complex than we initially use them for. We tend to use these for structuring and kind of using them as almost guideposts. Same way I'm talking about headers here. Let's go and we're just going to have like a correct and an incorrect method. And let's do maybe like 4 rows, caption and summary. So let me actually pull up our CP tools utilities. CP tools UI kit. These are easy to overlook, and it might seem overkill, but they're pretty important for accessibility reasons. So I gotta look through all of our examples. Basically, you need to provide descriptions of how these tables work. All right, so we got here, table summary. The table summary explains how the table operates. So you need to basically say like, hey, column displays X, or column A displays X, column B displays Y, right? And then the caption is like a heading, right? It's it could be like, hey, this table is for X users. So if you are, for instance, a student involvement, you can be like, hey, here are activities fees. I don't know if that works differently based on class, but you can basically describe the table here generally, broadly, and the summary is going to tell a blind user basically like how it's working by the columns. So let's take a look at this, right? So for the caption, this is a table detailing correct and incorrect methods for for header structure. There we go. Okay, so that's the caption. That's just kind of broadly, this is what the table's for. The summary is going to be a bit more specific about like the first column details correct header order. The second column, we'll just say shows. The second column shows incorrect header order. Real simple and probably useful as an exercise to make sure you're being very clear about what you want to do with your table. Sometimes we also just want to use tables for structure, and it's very clever, and there's a long history of using that for structure on web pages, but we can't, because otherwise, like, a user is going to come to this and be very confused by how the table is being read to them. We can do other things. We should probably do first row for headers every time. I suppose you could do like the first column and then have it go horizontally. I'm waving my hands like you can see me. But we're doing the first row here. You can add thicker border. Let's see how that looks. All right, so say correct headers, incorrect headers, right? And we're going to say I'm in H1. I'm in H1, right? H2. I'm in H6, right? Do we go that low? We do. It's like, oh man, crumbs. I'm out of space. All right, you can just right click on it. We're going to add a row after. H1. H2. And let's add one more. Also, Control Z, best friends for life. Insert row after. And we'll say I'm in H2, because again we went all the way back up to H1. We got to go back down again, and then we could say like in H5, right? No love for the H4 here. It's either H4 or H5 is losing. One other thing, let's see what else we can do. So we can go back to, I believe this is going to take us, yep, it's going to take us back to how we got set up. So if you forgot to put in your caption and summary, hint, hint, don't mess with advanced. Would be my suggestion. I don't really know if you would need to. You probably got a very special case. So if like you have a script that needs to go right to left, we could do that. If you're having to do a very complicated table, presumably you're already talking to me, and that's going to kind of be my big bit of advice. If you take away one thing, if you're doing something slightly complicated, reach out to me. Let's make sure that we do it right. One thing I do want to point out here is we can mess with cell spacing and cell padding. So cell spacing, I believe, is going to affect space between those. Maybe it affects nothing. All right, well, padding should actually provide... Oh, interesting. Let me try saving real quick. Let's see what this does. In theory, the cell padding should be letting the text be padded basically from the edges of that table. But now, hey, you can see we got our thick border, our headers, because we made that first row a header row, actually looks different, and it's also going to be coded different for people using a screen reader. So actually, okay, we got a chunk of content, right? We've also got like, hey, this is a description. I do like the font style. It's very, hey, this is a table. All right. I don't want to put that in actual headers. I think that would probably actually cause problems in a table. But that's how tables work. Okay, so we've got alternative text. We've got headers are structure, not decoration. And we'll just leave it at that for now, because what I want to do is, remember how I talked about, let's keep this modular. Let's make sure that whatever you create is something that can be quickly copied, because each page probably has like essentially a theme to it, right? What kind of information you're providing. Presumably you want to keep it related, right? So you don't want to talk about study tips and maybe, you know, how you can finance a loan or apply for federal aid, right? Like those are kind of different areas. It's all part of the college experience, but different areas of it, right? So let's try to keep this stuff related. I like this method. Start with an H1 photo, kind of describe what's going on, and then H2s. We can just copy this and go under the triple dot gear if you haven't touched it yet. Click that and go to more. Copy. And it's going to insert new element. We've got this paste copied element now up top. Just go and click that one. Great. So now we can see, funnily enough, it doesn't think I've edited this because I've not. I've simply created it out of nothing. All right, so we will click on the gear and hit edit data. Okie dokie. So we have all this content that we had before that we don't want. Oh, I didn't want to highlight all that. We can keep this structure, like, hey, I know that, like, if you have questions or concerns, I'm keeping that. That's just going to be there for all of these. This next one, I want to be PDF. Well, we'll say document accessibility, because you can technically do this with Microsoft Word, not just Adobe Acrobat. Basically, documents, digital documents. Documents have lots of built-in tools for accessibility. Not all of these tools are obvious or enabled by default. Spelling is escaping me today. In this section, we will cover methods to create and share accessible documents. All right, and as always, if you have questions, contact Cole. So what we're going to say is create, and again, this helps me. I can just copy the old stuff and put it in, and I like the structure. create accessible originals. So you also notice, this is maybe a good chance to talk about the styling. This looks like it's all caps, and I'm not typing in, I'm not holding down shift or with caps lock. This is not, however, presented in all caps. You'll see if we actually look at the source in the code here, it's lowercase. I mean, I'm capitalizing the first letter in these words. But the reason why that's important is because sometimes people think, oh, I should just type in all caps, or I can make headers all caps. Please don't, because a screen reader will read each of those letters out. Because think about acronyms, FBI, right? If I had this, all caps create accessible originals, the screen reader would just read CREATE space, right? And we don't want that. It looks all caps, it's not. Please don't write in all caps unless you want it to be read as an acronym. And remember, if we're using acronyms, let's try to define them at least once in the page towards the top. All right. So I can actually delete this. I'm just going to put in one line here. We're kind of getting towards the end of the time. Create accessible originals. I'm just going to say this. Microsoft Word has an accessibility checker. It is easier to fix issues prior to converting to PDF. So the reason why I'm being very specific here is most people just want a PDF form. I get that. PDF, you can kind of lock everything in place. It's a great way to sign things. And it does have ways to fix accessibility in the PDF itself. Ooh. The problem with that, though, is it requires an Acrobat Pro license, and not every office has that. And you will be responsible, or your office will be responsible for acquiring that license. We don't have licenses to just hand out, even with OCL. So if you're making this document first in Word, there's an accessibility checker built in. So run it there and try to fix your accessibility issues there. We will also talk about design later on this page too, so you can just not have the issue in the first place. But again, it's very easy to fix issues whenever you're in the design process. Whenever you're still in kind of Microsoft Word, it's fairly easy to fix accessibility issues. Once we're in PDF, we can still fix things, but it's a lot more work because we've already kind of laid the base for a lot of things. Let's see, convert and edit final products. We are just going to say, so we don't need this table. I don't think I need a table here. Just going to delete and make sure it's all gone. I would say, hey, we just got P. Otherwise, there'd be a table tag there. All right, convert and edit final products. Adobe Acrobat Pro is required to audit and fix inaccessible PDF items. There might be some other, I'm trying to think of other products. Video, but that's going to have its own section. I can't think of too many other it's really just PDFs that people use and upload. There's a couple Word documents floating out there. I can't think of the last time somebody uploaded one. If you have any documents that you think you do upload or you do kind of sneak by me, I don't think I get an alert when you guys upload, so I may be hurting myself, but those could be secret. I keep bumping this microphone. I'm sorry, folks. All right, I think we're gonna leave it there. Let's go and hit save. We got two big sections, right? So we got our example content, web accessibility. I'll make some custom. So this, I'd probably have a more vertical image of just like a PDF document, maybe of even the accessibility report. Yeah, I can show that. I like this. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Over here, I might just have like useful links because again, this is going to go underneath the left-hand section whenever it's on mobile. All right, folks, kind of a short stream. I know we had interruptions at the start. But thank you all. I hope this is all being helpful, and I will see you all next week. Bye, folks.